Let's talk about the problem with fixed fee billing in consulting. And then at the end of this video, I'll tell you how I think every consultant should bill. So fundamentally, what a consultant is somebody who trades time for money. So customers pay them for their time, and the consultant invoices that customer. So if it's a real simple equation, if you make $165 an hour and you bill 1,600 hours a year, you're going to make $264,000 a year. And that's what your total revenue will be. No matter how consulting companies try to hide this, they are all still fundamentally trading time for money. And I promise you, no matter what they say they're doing, whether they're selling tokens or half weeks or whatever they're selling, I promise you, when it comes time to figure out if they're profitable, they take all their employee salary, they add it all up, and they subtract it from the total revenue that they get. And they might even add an hour equation against it to understand if every hour they sell is profitable. And they might also do that to figure out which of their consultants are highly utilized or highly profitable and which ones are low utilization and low profitable, so that they know who to promote or who to fire or who to hire, or whatever they're trying to do, right? So consulting companies often enter into fixed fee contracts. And a fixed fee contract, what that is it's an SOW that has milestones with delivery dates and deliverables for every date. So at the end of it, the customer says, well, if I pay the consulting company $75,000, at the end, I will get a data platform in Databricks, in Azure, with Azure Key Vault and Azure Log Analytics, and I'll get 12 Power BI reports at the end of it. And they'll break that down. They'll say, like, phase 1, you will get all the raw data from Salesforce and from SAP landed. And phase 2, you'll get some common data models. And phase 3, you'll get some cubes. And phase 4, you'll get these 12 reports. And at every milestone, when you hit that, you'll get some part of the 75 grand. You'll get 10 grand, then 20 grand, then 20 grand, then whatever, right? And any change to that fixed fee contract, if they say, well, I don't like those 12 reports, I want these other 20 reports, will be done through a change order. So a change order will be submitted, new dates will be agreed on, and then the customer will pay another $22,000 to have those changes go through. And people like fixed fee because it's predictable, it's simple, it's less paperwork. Consulting companies like fixed fee because there's way more profit in it than hourly billing. So when you just do hourly billing, like, okay, I worked this hour, pay me my 165, or whatever you're doing. When you're just doing that, the profitability with hourly billing is roughly between 10 and 20% markup. So if I have 5 employees, I take their salary and I bill out, I try to bill double, right? So if they make 100 grand a year, that's $50 an hour, I try to bill them at $100 an hour or 200 grand a year. You would think that I'm doubling my money, but I'm really not. When you take into account salary and healthcare and workers' comp and vacation time and the sales commissions and having HR and having accounting and taxes and all the stuff that you have to take into account, if I pay somebody 100 grand a year and then I bill them out at 100, 125 an hour for 1,600 hours and I make 200 grand, I'm probably only really making about 30 to 50 grand on them every year, which is about 25% profit. Now, 25% profit is good. For the consulting companies, 25% is really good. And it doesn't matter if you're Deloitte or if you're Capgemini or you're McKinsey or you're Booz, no matter who you are, if you take all of your payroll and all your expenses and you could make 20 to 25 points, you're doing a really good job in consulting. Now, fixed fee is attractive because fixed fee kind of takes the hourly out of it and lets us charge whatever we want to charge for fixed fee. And that's why so many consulting companies are switching over to it, and a lot of them are. I would say almost all of them are switching over to fixed fee. What I described, which is really strong, stringent SOWs and lots of overhead and making sure that SOW is ironclad, and then all the change orders that go along with it. That's kind of the popular way to build. Now, if somebody's making more than 20% markup in their hourly billing, they're probably either really squeezing their fixed fee contract or they are lying to their customers. And I've looked at a lot of different data from a lot of different consulting companies. And look, I don't mean to make any accusations or make anybody defensive, but most of the time when I see consulting companies make more than 25 points, they are not being completely honest with how they're doing their billing with their customers. They are not. And that there's a myriad of ways they can do that. I don't want to teach you those ways, but just be aware that this is the profit that is usually to be expected. Okay, so how do you get profitability? Well, if I sell you a data platform for 100 grand, and I've got these consultants that I'm paying to implement that data platform for you, for the customer, I'm going to use scripts, accelerators, templates, and a whole bunch of other stuff in order to build that data platform for 35 grand, which will give me $65,000 in profit, which is way higher than the 20% that I typically would get. So you can see why that's attractive, but let me talk about what's wrong with it. The first drawback is quality. If I'm trying to build something for you for as cheap as possible so that my margin is high, I'm trying to keep my cost low. I can't keep my quality up if I keep my cost low. So oftentimes quality in the delivered product will suffer. Drawback 2 is the lack of flexibility. So all those change orders, you could get really fatigued by all those change orders, and we want to avoid that. So you don't have to bill with these super strong SOWs that require tons of change orders because, look, businesses are changing rapidly right now with AI and LLMs and pandemics and global political issues and, a lot of upheaval. This disruption means that contractually we need to be flexible. Fixed fee contracts are the opposite of flexibility. So that's a major drawback, and it puts our goals and purposes in being valuable to our customer counter to what our customer wants, which is the ability to change when the market conditions change or people change or they just learn more. And they're always learning now. So they're always going to want to learn and grow and change, and we can't be so rigid in our contracts. The contracts themselves are time consuming. It takes a long time to build a fixed fee contract for a customer. And the cost for building that contract will be worked into the total cost of the contract. So if it takes me a couple weeks to come up with a fixed fee contract, I'm going to take that time and add it to the fixed fee contract. So writing contracts is not valuable. Like, no customer says, Ike, I really want to pay you 2 weeks to write a contract. They really don't want to do that. They want to pay me to do what I'm good at, which is building data platforms and Power BI reports and doing Power BI governance. That's what I'm good at. But all that overhead is just wasted time and money that could be better spent somewhere else. Drawback 4 is if I use these scripts and accelerators in order to increase my profit margin, every data platform starts to look the same. And I guess if you are a cynic, maybe every data platform is the same, but I am not one. I believe every data platform should be tailored to that customer's needs. So rather than force the customer to understand my taxonomy, my words, my language, I like to learn what their words are, what their language is, what they want, what they need. They're paying for something custom. They should get something as custom as possible. And fixed fee contracts promote me doing the same thing to every customer for as cheap as possible, as quick as possible, so that I can make the most money. The major problem with consulting that is very difficult to solve is the throw it over the wall problem, which is when I write something and the project is over, I hand it over to the internal people to maintain, but they've never seen it before, so they don't know how to maintain it. And that really leads to a lot of consulting failures. Fixed fee contracts promote throwing things over the wall. Like, okay, I'm going to build this. I'm going to do it by the end of the year. At the end of the year, I'm done. You pay me, and here's the deal. And now you have it. Now, a lot of companies will struggle with maintaining it, and so they'll come back to the consulting company time and time again to maintain it and for changes because nobody internally knows how to make a change to it or keep it up and running. That is, in my opinion, counter to the customer's best interest. The customer, by the time the project is over, should be equipped to maintain it, manage it, and change it. And there are better ways to make sure that happens. And speaking of throw it over the wall, there's no time to train the people. A lot of the times consulting is getting engaged. It's because their internal people don't know Databricks, or they don't know Python, or they don't know, machine learning, or they don't know whatever these technologies that they're going for, they don't know it. So they're paying consultants in order to do it. Well, if consultants stay in a silo and build this whole thing, their internal people never learn what they need to learn. So you could build training into a fixed fee contract and you could build the maintenance in it, but the fixed fee, again, is going to promote doing it cheaply, doing it profitably, doing it quickly, doing it as minimally as possible so that we get most of the fee and less of the time consumption, which again is not in the best interest of the customer. So fundamentally, in my opinion, fixed bid contracts put the consultant's best interests counter and opposite to the client's best interests. And that's why I never enter them into them, because I want my customers to trust me, to rely on me, and to not look at me like there's always a mountain of friction and paperwork in order to get anything from me. So I prefer hourly billing. I don't care if you bill like attorneys bill, where they bill in 1/10 of an hour or 6 minutes, or they bill hourly, or even if you bill weekly. You know, if you say, this is my weekly rate, pay me for the week and I will work for you all week, that is good. That's a great way to bill. That's a simple, great way to bill. I would still keep track of all your billing time in Toggle or a similar app to track what you do every hour so that you can prove the work you're doing. And I would bill only for the time you work. I wouldn't bill for the time, you're learning Power BI. Well, you're getting paid a lot to know Power BI. So you can't bill for learning Power BI. You can't bill for learning Databricks. Like, you need to know that stuff. You're a consultant. That's your job. You wouldn't pay an accountant to learn accounting. You wouldn't pay a doctor to learn medicine. You pay for expertise. So only bill for the time you're working on what that customer needs you to work on, not for everything else. I also really like mutually cancelable contracts, which means that either party, either the consultant or the customer, can cancel the contract for any reason at any time. I call this the Tim Lincecum rule of business. So Tim Lincecum was a multiple Cy Young Award winner. He was one of the best pitchers in the league while he was pitching. He would sign one-year contracts. He didn't sign these big 10-year, $500 million contracts. He would sign a new contract every year. And the reason why is he said it made him want to earn that contract every year and pitch his best every year. He was more concerned about doing his best than he was concerned about the money attached to it. Now, Tim Lincecum has made enough money to pay his bills over and over and over again. He's going to live just fine for the rest of his life. But there's a lot of integrity in those one-year contracts. There's a lot of integrity in mutually cancelable contracts. It makes you perform your best, and it makes the customer, every time they pay for your services, to really it's like Christmas to them. Like, I like paying because this person always performs at the best of their ability. So I prefer contracts that are like that. Now, how you should work. So if you want to avoid the throat over the wall problem, in my opinion, the best way to work is to do your work with their team, not in a silo. So be on their stand-up calls, use their source control, add your work to their Kanban board. The advantages to this are that they can see your work, they can learn how you're building things, their team members can learn from you, that you're integrated to their team, which means that you build a relationship with them, they grow to like you and trust you, they don't see you as competition, and it helps them learn your technology, and it helps you learn their domain and their business and the way they're doing things, so that you make everyone's life better as you deliver on the work you're doing. And that is how you become indispensable. And I hope you've enjoyed this quick set of slides on consulting fees, and you've learned a little bit about what I've learned, and you've learned about me and how I prefer to do business. Hopefully this helps you. Thanks. Have a great day.